What's up guys? Welcome to AnimeKouhai. If you'd like to help me out, please hit the like button and subscribe to my channel.
But even a master like him would use deception rather than display his entire range of abilities? It's hard for me to forgive that.
Carrera shouted in response.
How dare you damned humans mock us?
Carrera moved forward to rip Kondu apart in a fit of wrath. However, at that precise moment,
Lady Carrera, hold on.
Agera, still changed into a blade, spoke to her. Now that Carrera and Agera were practically one, they could communicate with one another through thought communication, of course. Their conversation thus started in a sphere of consciousness that Carrera had expanded by 1,000,000 times.
Agera, what is it? You know I'm busy right now. If you stand in my path, I'll kill you as well.
Lady Carrera, please calm down. What Kondo wants from you is for you to lose your cool.
I am aware of that. But you know, he made me look foolish. I am a master. How am I supposed to forgive that?
Recently, Agera's main responsibility was to check Carrera before she went too far. But he had never previously seen her so enraged. He hadn't, but Carrera's defeat was certain if he didn't act right away. So he made an earnest effort to convince her.
Pay attention. Kondo hadn't relied on his sword from the start, and it wasn't because he thought less of you.
Why is that, exactly? He's obviously making fun of me.
He is not, no. In actuality, it is the complete opposite.
Huh?
He is trying to hide his hand because he sees you as a threat, Lady Carrera. Do you get it? Not everyone is born with the same natural strength that you do, and it is only normal for a warrior to take all necessary precautions against a powerful foe.
What exactly are you saying? So he sees me as a strong fighter.
Exactly, indeed.
Agera presented his argument as forcefully as possible. Kondu had developed a complete style that was uniquely his own, but he had essentially adopted Agera's fashion sense. He was undoubtedly dedicated to his craft, but it wasn't the reason he didn't reveal it earlier rather than later. The little opening he disclosed when firing his pistol must have been caused by his nerve-wracking training. The only reason he went with that maneuver now was because he believed Carrera was powerful enough to take the risk against. Otherwise, he would never have attempted something so difficult.
I see. Yes, you make a valid point.
Carrera was finally persuaded to see things Agera's way after much persuading. There was a sigh of relief from him.
I apologize for worrying you, Agera. I feel as though my eyes have been opened.
That makes me happy.
I promise I won't make you worried any longer. All right?
Carrera made the statement before turning back toward Kondu. She suddenly punched herself in the face with the back of her fist. She seemed to have her head explode from the full power explosion, yet unfazed, she smiled at Kondu.
Oops. Did I frighten you? Don't worry, though. I wasn't thinking clearly about anything. I believed you were looking down on me, but you weren't. But aren't you human beings very amazing? To win, you'll truly employ all kinds of ruses. We never thought of that, so it surprises us a little.
She was happy about it, but she now understood how crucial it was not to underestimate your adversary. She wasn't at all letting her guard down, but if it weren't for Agera, she might have fallen for Kondu's ruse right now. She used to let herself be utterly selfish, but that was in the past. She obeyed the demon lord Rimuru's commands because she was now her obedient servant. Losing was one thing, but dying would be beyond forgiveness. Carrera chided her own behavior. That blow was intended to express her resolve and was intended for that purpose. Carrera viewed Kondu as a rival of her own rank. It was pretty solemn thinking, completely different from her usual irrational self.
Like no way, you understand? There is no way I would ever give it my all, towards a human, you know?
She was sufficiently arrogant due to her knowledge that she was the strongest of all races to have never really given her all before. She believed Kondu was being gentle with her, and it took Agera's help to change her mind. Now that she was aware of her error, she started to take things seriously. She gave Kondu her terrible smile, which he thought was utterly gorgeous.
So the demon is now taking this seriously? For a helpless human like myself, this turn of events is pretty unwelcome.
His countenance shifted for the first time during this encounter. He now considered Carrera to be a worthy foe.
Very good. I'll treat this seriously as well.
Kondu then put on his armor, for the first time with that declaration. It wasn't a uniform brought about by the power of his will, but a spiritual white suit of a god-class piece that Rudra had given him. Although Kondu didn't seem all that different in it, which was based on the ceremonial uniform of the former Imperial Japanese Navy, his aura seemed to be something else entirely. As a lieutenant, Kondu promised to bear the sins of all the men he had allowed to perish, hence this uniform was also the outfit he would have been buried in. He made the decision to fight in this because he wanted to keep that resolve close to his heart. Carrera turned to face him and released all of her magical power before reintroducing herself.
I am Carrera, Menace Lord and loyal servant of the Demon Lord Rimuru. Swear by my pride that I will kill you.
My name is Tatsuya Kondo, and I hereby accept your challenge. I am a former lieutenant of the Imperial Japanese Navy and the present commander of the Imperial Guardians.
The two warriors locked eyes as they subtly increased their power. The actual fight would now start. Carrera gently placed her left arm against her stump after picking it up. That was all it took to reconnect it as if nothing had happened.
Somewhat unfair.
Oh, don't act like that. I received this priceless body from Sir Rimuru. I can't afford to damage it even slightly.
The talk was light at the moment, but both parties were seeking for an opening. Kondo had a justification for allowing Carrera to heal her arm. Since he had abandoned his sidearm, he would only use his sword, which is the standard fighting style for the Oboro school. On the other side, it meant he had run out of sneaky tactics to use. With everything on the line and his sword in both hands, he was dead serious about this and certain that no foe could stand a chance against him. Kondo's unique skill Decipherer allowed him to fully comprehend Carrera's movements. He was able to observe every muscle twitch, the flow of magic energy throughout her body, and even the telltale indicators that a spell was about to be cast. This was related to Sandalphon's ultimate skill, and it performed in a way that went well beyond what was expected of a unique skill. Because of this, he did not overlook the fact that Carrera's power was increasing at an alarming rate. It was a genuine stream of power that was practically a sign of the demon's utter control. The flow, however, showed no signs of slowing down at all. Everything moved together as though propelled by a single, powerful desire. Normally, this massive downpour would have caused a huge explosion, but Carrera had everything well under control. What a beast, thought Kondo. Even her garments had been fixed, in what appeared to be a cruel prank, leaving no indication of the severe arm wound he had just caused. All of this blazing power was focused on the demonic blade that Agera had changed into. The cycle was finished by being mentally and physically bonded with Carrera. Kondo could hardly stand it, but now he saw a sign that bothered him much more. Surprisingly, a powerful crystal was going to be born in the heart of Carrera's magic. Kondo understood what it was. He knew it was something observed when a living thought manifested because he himself possessed one.
I knew it. She's trying to get an ultimate skill.
When Kondo recognized it, he started to move. No matter how strong she was, he had to destroy this adversary right away. He did so in order to demonstrate his commitment by donning his ceremonial attire. He had to win, whether it was with fair or unfair methods, for only by winning would right and wrong be established. There was no place for defeat. Kondo finished his preparations and continued to examine Carrera. All he had left was his sword, and he used all his strength to slash at the demon.
Well done. I feel intoxicated by that unflinching gaze of yours.
Kondo carried on swinging without pausing to hear Carrera's squeals of delight. Although her demon blade parried his attacks, Kondo's military sword had a tremendous amount of force. Without Agera's will contained within, it might have broken her weapon there and then. Carrera uttered an audible grunt as a result of the sharp, powerful slash. The will that was implanted inside of this military sword was the key to its power. Kondo's ultimate skill, Sandalphon, applied to more than just bullets. The entire nature of his strength was only exposed when his will, his soul, was in this weapon. When he needed to fight for his life, that was Kondo's genuine secret move. Kondo's assault started, forcing Carrera to go on the defense right away. He used every strategy in the book to force Carrera into a corner because he was determined to end this fight before she could awaken to her ultimate power. Even when she used her brute force to launch a massive attack, Kondo blocked it all without blinking. Kondo had an obvious fighting technique advantage. The only reason this bout continued was because of Carrera's enormous magicule count, not to mention the capabilities of Agera on top of that. Carrera would have been wiped out long ago without either of them. Carrera's left side was being cut through by a slash that had the strength of an eraser bullet. She had already sustained numerous cuts to her limbs, but because they had a necrosis effect, they were damaging her magic vessels. Even her connection to Agera was now suffering. Carrera fixed Kondo in her gaze while baring her teeth. It was a mistake. She believed she could manage him, no matter how strong he was, if she set her mind to it, but Kondo wouldn't be so easy on her. Even with Agera's help, he was still more than a match for Carrera.
This human, this awful human. How could a mere human, sane awakened or not, corner me like this?
Carrera placed her right palm on her left side, which was cut open and gushing magic force, despite her dissatisfaction with herself. She attempted to heal it, but it was unsuccessful because her magic vessels were out of control. A wound of this magnitude often heals on its own without conscious effort, yet even when she attempted actively to heal it, it remained in this state. No matter how brazen and irresponsible Carrera could be, she was well aware of how terrible the situation was. Kandu was aware that a person's willpower has an impact on how strong their power is. Kandu was a human being who had completely gained an ultimate power by himself. His character's nobility was undeniable in contrast to Carrera, who had an endless life and lived it to the fullest. Carrera recognized the distinction thanks to the agony that was tormenting her even at this moment. A skill has little value if it is just provided to you. You can only fully utilize its potential when you actively seek to learn it. In every way, including species, athletic prowess, vitality, and everything else, Carrera was superior to Agera. She was on an equal footing with her opponent thanks to Agera's help, but she was unable to prevail. They were actually in danger of losing.
If this goes on, will we lose? Will I be annihilated? Me, one of the rulers of the all-powerful demons.
That was totally unacceptable. More than anything else, it would be against the directives of Rimuru, her adored demon lord, something Carrera's pride would never permit. She felt that if it ever did, it would be such a mistake that he may kill her 1,000,000 times and yet not be satisfied. She may have been courageous in all other respects, but she was scared by the thought of failing to carry out Rimuru's instructions.
I would never permit that.
Carrera yelled that and looked at Kandu with her bloodshot eyes. She prepared herself by forcibly rebuilding her body to treat the injury. She wished to defeat the man in front of her with a wish that was deeper and greater than before. She has only used her all-powerful demon force up to this point, but it wasn't sufficient. She believed that those who resided in the ranks of the ultimate were untouchable, and this held true for both Diablo and Kandu. She realized that she would never be able to vanquish anyone who awakened an ultimate power, and even if she could, Gi Crimson, who stood at the top of the world, would be unbeatable. Increasing her power alone wasn't sufficient. No matter how hard she tried, she would just be a target for the stronger. Carrera realized it when she was completely cornered. She needed to better understand herself if she was going to combat the genuinely powerful, and a strong will was what she most required for that. At that point, Carrera, a spiritual life form, started searching for the force of will, the very essence of it all.
In that case, allow me to assist you a bit.
Carrera believed she heard a voice, and the next thing she knew, something that had been bugging her in the back of her mind took shape.
That's it for this video, guys. Thank you for always watching my videos and supporting my channel. A big thanks to the AnimeKouhai patrons who made this video possible. Vethelny, Linnell Scarlett, Khalid, Christian Deshazer, Kel Robs, Divine C. Harris, Aaron Alarcon, DeAndre Nance, Monty Boy 98, D-Man, Jared Bressler, Chad Vota, Chris Guzman. Thank you so much for helping out. I'll see you guys in the next video.